Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the brutal and emotional world of 28 years later. Set in a world devastated by the undead, this story follows one boy's personal fight for survival. Meet Spike. He's just 12 years old, but his mission is anything but simple. He's trying to save his mom, clinging to the last shred of hope in a world that's already lost almost everything. But in a landscape overrun by chaos and death, can he find the answers he's searching for? Or will the darkness consume him like it has so many others? The film kicks off with a group of kids watching TV at home when, out of nowhere, an infected man bursts in and viciously attacks their parents. Among those kids is Jamie. When Jamie opens the front door and steps outside, he sees something that will haunt him forever. His mom, already bitten by a zombie. She looks at him, bloodied and barely hanging on, and tells him to run. Jamie doesn't hesitate. He bolts. His destination, a nearby church where his dad lives. He's the pastor there. Trying to calm his terrified son, Jamie's father tells him, "Don't worry, son. I've got this. Just hide." He presses a cross into Jamie's hand for protection, but peace doesn't last. A pack of zombies descends on the church. Jamie's dad shouts for him to run, and Jamie does, just before the undead overwhelm and bite his father. What happens to Jamie next? That part of the story comes later. From there, the movie jumps forward, 28 years into the future. We now find ourselves on the island of Landsfund, a remote sanctuary completely surrounded by water, cutting its inhabitants off from the rest of the world. Thanks to its natural isolation, no one can get in or out, which has created a fragile sense of safety for the few survivors who've managed to take refuge here. These survivors live in a small, tightly knit village. Life here is modest but stable. The people rely on each other for everything, from food and shelter to emotional support. With limited resources, fishing and the occasional hunt have become the main sources of survival. This is where we meet 12-year-old Spike. He lives with his father, Jamie, while his mother, Ayla, lies seriously ill. No one knows exactly what's wrong with her, and despite their efforts, there's no cure in sight. When Jamie decides to take Spike on a hunting trip, Ayla is furious. She lashes out at Jamie, accusing him of putting their son in danger. But before things escalate, Spike steps in. He lies gently, telling his mother he's just going to school, hoping to ease her worry and avoid more conflict. Her anger softens, and Spike heads out with his father. Also living in their home is Sam, an elderly man who's become part of their extended family. He helps out wherever he can and provides a steady, comforting presence. As Spike and Jamie leave the house, neighbors gather around to wish the boy luck. It's his very first hunt, and this moment marks his initiation into the island's hunter circle. Before heading out, the hunters, Spike included, are given a final rundown of the rules and safety procedures. The message is clear. Once you step outside the gates, you're on your own. If you get lost in the woods, no one will be coming to rescue you. Spike already knows the rules. As they move out, we learn something curious about the island. There's a hidden path beneath the sea that only appears when the tide is low. For a short time, this submerged walkway connects the island to the mainland, but once the tide rises again, the path vanishes completely, sealing them off from the outside world once more. Jamie and Spike make use of the low tide and quickly cross over to the mainland. It's Spike's first time there, and the sheer size and wildness of the landscape leave him in awe. Jamie warns him to steer clear of the local villages. They're no longer safe. The two make their way into the dense forest, where they soon come across a zombie crawling along the ground. Jamie explains that these particular infected can't stand or run, they can only crawl, so they're not especially dangerous. Still, their thick skin makes them hard to kill. The only effective method is shooting an arrow straight through the neck. Jamie tells Spike it's time to take his first shot. Spike focuses, takes aim, and sends an arrow flying, hitting the target dead on. The arrow pierces the zombie's neck, killing it instantly. It's Spike's first successful kill, and he's filled with pride and excitement. But the moment doesn't last long. More zombies appear, and Jamie steps in, taking them out quickly. As they head deeper into the woods, Spike notices something strange. A herd of animals all running in the same direction, as if they're trying to escape something. He's never seen anything like it. Eventually, they stumble across an old, abandoned house. Hoping to scavenge supplies, they go inside, but it's mostly empty. Then they hear something, a noise coming from one of the back rooms. When they investigate, they find a disturbing sight. A man hanging upside down, still alive but in bad shape, his body picked at by crows. Worse yet, he's infected. That's when they realize the man hanging upside down has already turned. He's not just injured, he's a zombie. Jamie quickly tells Spike to shoot him 3 times, but Spike freezes. Paralyzed by fear, he hesitates. Jamie urges him again, his voice more urgent now. Spike finally summons the courage and fires an arrow straight into the infected man, killing him instantly. They leave the house and push deeper into the forest. Soon they stumble upon several mutilated corpses. Jamie surveys the scene and quickly recognizes this wasn't the work of ordinary zombies. This was something far worse, the rage virus. Victims of the rage virus aren't like the others. They're not just mindless biters. They're faster, smarter, and far more lethal. Jamie turns to Spike. We need to get out of here, now. They push through the dense trees until they reach an open field they have to cross. That's when they see them, alpha zombies emerging from the distance. Unlike the slow crawlers they've dealt with before, these ones can walk, sprint, and hunt. Jamie panics. He grabs Spike and yells, "Run!" They spin around and take off, but more zombies begin appearing, chasing them through the field. Jamie fires off arrow after arrow, taking down several, but Spike, still new to all of this, struggles to keep up. He's clumsy, scared, and not fast enough. In desperation, they spot a house up ahead. They sprint toward it, barely outrunning the pack of infected closing in behind them. Jamie takes down a few more just before he and Spike slam the door shut and barricade themselves inside. They've survived for now. Jamie tells Spike they'll have to stay there overnight. If they step outside, the alphas will rip them apart. Meanwhile, back on the island, their small community is starting to worry. This was Spike's first time off the island, and everyone had been excited to welcome him back. But hours have passed. Still no sign of Jamie or Spike. No one knows what happened. Back in the abandoned house, Jamie and Spike remain hidden, their nerves frayed, senses sharp. The silence outside is unnerving, broken only by the occasional distant groan. Jamie assures Spike they just have to hold on until morning. Things will be safer once the sun is up. But then Spike notices something through the window, a flicker of light far in the distance, casting an eerie glow across the dark horizon. "Dad, what's that fire?" he asks. Jamie looks out, scanning the darkness. He narrows his eyes and shakes his head. "I don't know," he says quietly. "I've never been that far south." The uncertainty in his voice hangs heavy in the air. Whatever it is, it's not normal, and Spike can't stop wondering what it might be. That night, as they lie on the cold floor, struggling to rest, the ground around them begins to tremble. Animals, lots of them, are stampeding past the house. The old building begins to groan under the stress. Wood creaks, plaster crumbles. Suddenly, part of the structure collapses. The noise is deafening. Jamie grabs Spike and they rush outside just in time, narrowly escaping as the entire house comes crashing down behind them. Dust and splinters fill the air. They stand there, shaken but alive. Jamie knows they can't stay here any longer. It's time to go home, back to the island, back to safety, if it's even still safe. But there's a problem. The tide has risen, the sea is higher now, and Jamie isn't sure how deep it's gotten. Still, he tries to reassure Spike. "It should only be up to our knees," he says, forcing confidence into his voice. "We'll make it." They reach the shore, the cold water lapping at their boots. There, just barely visible beneath the rising tide, is the narrow path that connects the mainland to the island, a fragile stretch of ground that may be their only shot at survival. They start to cross, carefully placing one foot in front of the other, eyes scanning the dark water for movement. Every step counts. Every ripple could mean danger, but they keep going because turning back is no longer an option. Once they make it safely to the other side, a wave of relief and joy washes over them. Being home again, surrounded by the familiar sights and sounds, brings a comforting sense of security. But just as they begin to let their guard down, something horrifying catches their eye. A zombie sprinting straight toward them with terrifying speed, its eyes locked on them with a ravenous, unrelenting focus. Panic kicks in. They take off running toward the village house, adrenaline surging through their bodies as fear takes hold. The zombie is fast, far too fast, and gaining ground quickly. Its footsteps thunder behind them in a ruthless pursuit. Spike stumbles and hits the ground hard, his legs giving out beneath the weight of exhaustion and terror. They've lost their weapons, completely defenseless and vulnerable. Still, somehow, they manage to scramble to the house, banging on the door with everything they've got, screaming for help with voices cracked and hoarse from fear. Inside, their companions jolt awake and react just in time. Bursting through the door, they take down the zombie before it can reach them. The creature collapses with a heavy thud. Jamie and Spike are yanked inside, shaken but alive. Gasping for breath, they realize they've survived yet another brush with death. Relief sets in, and they finally exhale, knowing they're safe for now. This was Spike's first real experience on the mainland, an unforgettable, high-stakes introduction to the brutal reality that exists beyond the boundaries of their island sanctuary. The rush of adrenaline, the heart-pounding fear, and the sheer thrill of survival left him both shaken and electrified. It was also his first time venturing outside the protective confines of the village, making the moment even more meaningful. He was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, excitement at the idea of exploring new territory, fear of the threats lurking in every shadow, and pride in having faced those fears head-on and survived. To honor his bravery and commemorate this important rite of passage, the village throws a celebration in his name. Everyone comes together to make it unforgettable. The night is filled with music, laughter echoing through the streets, and food that brings neighbors close. For a brief moment, Spike feels like a hero, surrounded by praise and admiration, basking in the warmth of his community. And in that fleeting moment, the horrors waiting outside their island seem to fade, if only for a little while. During the celebration, Spike notices his father, Jamie, stepping away with a woman. The two of them appear to grow quite close, their body language and smiles hinting at a romantic connection that makes Spike deeply uncomfortable. A wave of jealousy and insecurity washes over him. He feels like he's losing his father's attention, and maybe even his love. Quietly slipping away from the party, Spike goes to check on his mom, seeking comfort in her presence. He hopes to find some reassurance, some sense of stability. Instead, he runs into Sam, the elderly man who lives with them. "I just came to see how mom's doing," Spike says, his voice heavy with concern over her declining health. Sam gives him a gentle reminder the party was for him. He encourages Spike to go back and enjoy it, to let himself celebrate. But Spike can't shake the unease clawing at him. His mind drifts back to the night before. "There was a fire out in the forest," Spike tells Sam, distracted. "I saw it burning." Sam's expression shifts, his eyes narrow, thoughts stirring beneath the surface. "That fire, it might have been from a man named Dr. Carlson," he says, voice tinged with a mix of nostalgia and curiosity. "He was a friend of mine 30 years ago. I never thought I'd hear his name again." He pauses, then adds, "While I came here, he chose to stay out there in the woods. I didn't think he was still alive." The next morning, Jamie returns home, but Spike's anger hasn't cooled. Still reeling from what he saw at the party and disturbed by what Sam said, he confronts his father. "You're out there spending time with some woman like you don't even care about mom anymore," Spike snaps. "Why don't you just leave us alone? And you lied about Dr. Carlson. Maybe he could help her." Jamie pushes back. "He's not a doctor, Spike. He's a madman. We saw him once, burning dead bodies. He saw us too. We ran. We were terrified." But Spike's mind is made up. That same morning, he secretly sets a small fire near the village to create a diversion. The guards at the gate rush to put it out, leaving their post unguarded. Taking advantage of the chaos, Spike lifts his ailing mother into his arms and slips out of the village. "There's a doctor who can help you," he whispers. "I'm taking you to him." As night falls, they stop to rest in an old, crumbling house. Spike tells his mom to lie down and relax. He'll stay awake and keep watch, but he's just a kid. Before long, he drifts off to sleep beside her. That night, crawling zombies move through the area, drawn to the scent of the living. One of them finds the house and attacks Spike's mother while she sleeps. By morning, she wakes up with blood on her hands and no clear memory of what happened. There are flashes of violence, fragments of a struggle. Some things she remembers, others are already slipping away. Meanwhile, across the mainland, soldiers continue their mission to wipe out the infected, firing on zombies wherever they find them. During the battle, many of the soldiers fighting the infected are bitten and turn into zombies themselves. Their screams and shouts quickly devolve into guttural groans and snarls as the deadly virus takes over. The chaos is overwhelming. Bullets tear through the air while zombies stagger in from every direction, their numbers seemingly endless. In the end, only one soldier makes it out alive, Eric, bloodied and barely breathing, his uniform ripped to shreds. Eric escapes the carnage, his face marked by sheer exhaustion and trauma. Meanwhile, Spike and his mother continue pressing forward, winding their way through empty fields and abandoned back roads. The landscape around them is bleak and lifeless. No people, no animals, just silence. His mother, still dazed from the effects of her infection, keeps calling Spike by her husband's name. She doesn't recognize her own son. Her eyes are filled with fear and confusion, and her memory seems fractured, lost lost somewhere between past and present. Her words are disjointed, her actions unpredictable, as she struggles to grasp what's happening around her. As they walk, a zombie suddenly appears. It's Jim, the protagonist from the first film, who had been bitten years ago. Now fully turned, Jim lunges at them, his eyes empty, his mouth twisted in a vicious snarl. Spike manages to kill him, but the weight of the moment is heavy. He realizes that the man his father once knew is truly gone. They keep moving, only to be ambushed by a swarm of zombies. The sheer number of them is terrifying, their hunger relentless. Desperate to survive, Spike and his mother take shelter in an old gas station, a crumbling building that offers little more than a moment's protection from the advancing horde. Inside, the air reeks of gasoline, which is leaking all over the place. The zombies close in, their groans echoing louder with each second. Just when all hope seems lost, Eric suddenly reappears. Gun in hand, he charges in, firing at the gas-soaked floor. His bullets spark an enormous explosion that obliterates the entire horde. The blast sends Spike and his mother flying. Somehow, they survive. Disoriented, ears ringing, lungs burning, Eric pulls them to safety. His face is streaked with soot, but his eyes shine with a mix of relief and exhaustion. He introduces himself, explaining that he's from Sweden and was part of a military team that used to make regular trips to the mainland to fight off the infected. But this time, his entire unit was wiped out. He's the only one left. Though his voice carries a deep sadness and regret, there's also a fire in him, a resolve to keep fighting, to keep surviving in a world that's lost all sense of normalcy. He's the only one left, completely lost with no idea how to get home. His eyes sweep across the horizon, searching desperately for any sign of help or rescue. As the three of them walk and talk, they eventually come across a quiet place to rest. A brief moment of calm in a world full of danger and chaos. Spike pulls out some apples he brought along and hands one to Eric. The soldier's eyes light up with gratitude as he takes a bite, the simple sweetness offering a fleeting sense of comfort in their bleak situation. Eric also carries something Spike has never seen before, a phone. Sleek, glowing, and unfamiliar, it fascinates the young boy. He studies it with wide eyes, turning it over in his hands, trying to figure out what it does. But to him, it might as well be magic. Then Spike says, "My mom's sick. I'm taking her to see a doctor. If things go well, I'll bring you back to our island. It's safe there." His voice is steady, filled with a quiet determination and a flicker of hope. Eric nods, his hardened expression softening as he takes in Spike's words. As they continue their journey, they come across an old, rusted train. Its abandoned cars stretch into the distance like giant decaying bones. From within, eerie sounds rise, zombie groans and shuffling feet that send a chill down their spines. Spike's mother approaches the train and cautiously looks inside. What she finds is horrifying. One of the infected is a pregnant zombie on the verge of giving birth. The sight is gruesome, tragic, and shocking, but what happens next stuns them all. Guided by a deep instinctual compassion, Spike's mom steps forward and helps the infected woman give birth. It's an unthinkable act of humanity in a world where humanity is almost gone. Miraculously, the baby is born healthy. Its tiny cries pierce the air, a fragile sound of life in a place surrounded by death. But the moment the zombie mother's instincts kick in and she turns violent, eyes flashing with hunger, the soldier reacts. Eric raises his gun and fires, killing her before she can attack. The shot echoes through the hollow train car. Eric immediately warns them they need to leave the baby behind. He insists it's too dangerous. Taking care of a newborn is a risk they can't afford in a world like this. But Ayla refuses. She can't abandon an innocent child. Her maternal instincts take over as she gently cradles the baby in her arms, unwilling to let go. Suddenly, an alpha zombie appears from the shadows. Its cold, calculating gaze locks onto Eric. Before anyone can react, it grabs him and snaps his neck in one swift, brutal motion. The sickening crack of bone and tearing flesh fills the air. Terrified, Spike and Ayla take off, running as fast as they can, the alpha zombie chasing after them with a relentless, inhuman. Spike fires arrow after arrow, but nothing works. The zombie is too strong, too advanced. Just as it's about to strike, a man appears out of nowhere and injects it with a powerful sedative, dropping it to the ground instantly. That man's Dr. Carlson, the same person Spike had heard rumors about. He lives nearby. Dr. Carlson urges them to leave before the zombie wakes up and quickly leads them to his hidden base. A strange, eerie place filled with tools made from bones and shelves lined with old, weathered skulls. "I live here," he tells them. "You're the first living people I've spoken to in years. Everyone else around here is either dead or undead." Spike explains that he brought his mother, Ayla, hoping for help, but Dr. Coulson admits he doesn't have the proper equipment to diagnose her illness. When Spike mentions the zombie baby, the one that was born healthy and now travels with them, Dr. Coulson grows serious. "That baby's going to need real food soon," he says. "Water alone won't cut it. Without milk, it won't survive much longer." He then begins examining Ayla. The room falls silent. After a long pause, he finally speaks. "Your mother has cancer. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, she has only a few days left, and there's nothing I can do to stop it." Ayla turns to her son and softly says, "I had a feeling it might be cancer, but I needed someone else to tell you. I just couldn't bring myself to say it." The weight of the news crashes down on Spike. He's devastated. The truth settles in. His mom doesn't have much time left. Dr. Coulson gently tries to comfort him. "Everyone who enters this world has to leave it someday," he says. "Some go sooner, others stay longer, but no one lasts forever. Don't let it destroy you." Ayla wraps her arms around Spike and whispers, "Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll always be with you." Later, Dr. Coulson quietly takes Ayla into another room. There, he ends her life. When he returns, he's holding her skull in his hands. His eyes are heavy, his steps slow. Without saying much, he offers it to Spike. "Place it wherever you think it belongs," he says, his voice somber and subdued. Without a word, Spike walks over to a stack of skulls, relics of those who came before. With trembling hands, he gently places his mother's at the top. It's a quiet, reverent gesture, a moment filled with love, sorrow, and respect. The pile stands like a monument to the devastation of the world they now live in. Suddenly, the zombie from earlier begins to stir. Its eyes snap open, filled with feral rage. Dr. Coulson and Spike hide, holding their breath as the creature stumbles through the space, searching. But it eventually finds the doctor, grabs him with crushing force, and begins to drag him away. Without hesitation, Spike springs into action. He attacks the zombie and knocks it unconscious once again. His movements quick, instinctive, and full of resolve. In that moment, he saves Dr. Coulson's life, driven by a mix of adrenaline, grief, and pure determination. Afterward, Dr. Coulson urges Spike to take the baby and return to the island, his voice marked by urgency and concern. Spike agrees, but instead of going home, he quietly stays behind in the forest, his eyes locked on the trees and thick underbrush as he makes a decision that will change the course of his life forever. He leaves the baby at the gate near the path to the island, placing it where it's clearly visible, hoping someone from the village will find it, and they do. The villagers discover the baby and assume Spike left it there himself. Their faces reflect a mix of curiosity, relief, and quiet gratitude. When Jamie, Spike's father, hears the news, he rushes to the shore, desperate to reach the mainland. His heart is torn between pride and worry, but the water level has already risen too high, and he's unable to cross. The sea stands between him and his son, a vast, impassable barrier. Meanwhile, Spike remains alone in the forest, far from the only home he's ever known. He stares into the darkness, his decision firm. He's chosen not to return. Instead, he's walking away from his past, from everything familiar, to forge a new path, one that's dangerous, unpredictable, and unknown. The forest seems to swallow him up, its shadows wrapping around him like a cloak, as he sets off on a journey that will test his strength, his courage, and his resolve. Spike plans to travel deeper into the mainland, choosing a life of isolation. But as he sets out, a fresh wave of zombies emerges. He fights off several with everything he's got, but the road ahead becomes completely blocked. Then, out of nowhere, a group of people appears. Among them is a boy wearing several gold chains. His name is Jamie. He's the same Jamie from earlier in the story, the boy whose father was a pastor, the one who gave him a cross for protection. Even after all these years, Jamie still wears that same cross. He approaches Spike and says, "You help me, and I'll help you." Jamie isn't alone. He has a tight-knit crew with him, friends who've survived together and know how to fight. Not long after, a swarm of zombies attacks, but Jamie's group springs into action, taking them down with precision and coordination. Once the battle ends, Jamie turns to Spike and asks, "Will you be my friend?" Spike nods. Yes. With that, he joins the group, and together they walk off into the uncertain future. And so ends the story of 28 years later. So, what did you think of today's movie? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon with another video.